Today I'm going to show you how to repair the instrument cluster on the Kenworth T680. So in my previous video I had a problem with this air gauge with a secondary needle, which is I took it apart and fixed it, but it was only temporary. So now the needle doesn't work again, and now my RPM needle is start acting up. I'm going to show you how to save lots of money, because this thing is not cheap. It's probably used one from 700 up to 1500, and then if you go to the dealer it's even higher. To take this instrument cluster off, so we're gonna take this trim out. You're gonna guys have to unclip it. Then we taking this one off. Also too, gonna have to unclip it. Then there is 4 bolts that you guys need to unscrew, and then there is a wire harness connector behind this instrument cluster. So you're gonna have to press this tab towards the wires and just wiggle it, and that thing comes out. And we got this unit out. So now we're gonna take this unit apart and change the motors. You guys are gonna need T9 Torx, and there's 9 screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 to unscrew. So after we get those screws unscrewed and out, we're gonna start taking this thing apart. In order to take this back cover off, so there is clips. Pry it with your fingernail, with a screwdriver. There's another one right here. Okay. There's one in here. Need a screwdriver. All right. One behind here. Okay, and cover it off. Okay, one screw left here, and we can get this cover off. So now we get access to the motors, and I've got already the motors to replace, brand new motors. Now we're gonna take this unit out. And I'm gonna start taking those needles off. So in order to take those needles off, gonna have to find some plastic trims, slide it underneath. So you're gonna have to have 2 plastic trims, so one on this side and then one on the other side, or something like that, and prise them out. Gotta be careful to not break them. Okay, after the needle's off, they're all the same. You can mix them. The only difference is the air gauge has two, but otherwise those are all the same, so you can mix them no problem. Okay, so after we took the needles off, we're gonna flip this, and now we're gonna start taking this. Yeah, you gotta be careful with this button. That's a push button. So now we're gonna start taking this motor off apart. That's for the air gauge. Again, doing everything with one hand. So there is little clips right here, and we have to pull those clips away in order to get this motor out. So like on the other side, there is still two clips that holding it, just like that, with a screwdriver. Okay, and the motor is off. Okay, so that's a motor. Broke. So I have a new motor. Gotta show it on the light. So I have two motors. So this is the old one, and as you guys see, this one a little different from the one that I have. But this motor is gonna work too. So in order to install this motor, we're gonna insert, there is a pins, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 pins. So we're gonna have to line up those white pins with those holes over here. So I'm just gonna insert the motor, and I'm gonna press it in. All right, and this motor sits. So it's got a little pins inside, and this model actually is locked, so we don't have to worry about those tabs holding it. And yeah, like I said, this motor sits already good with no problem. So now we're gonna be replacing this motor for the RPM. Okay, those white pins we're gonna have to release in order to separate this PCB board. Okay, we're gonna have to release this cable. Those black pieces, that's screen connected to this PSB board, so you're gonna have to press them in to separate it. The same on this side. Be really careful to not break anything or scratch anything. Okay, and the board is out. So yeah, those 1 2 3 pins has to be pushed out in order to separate this PCB board, and then we can put this piece away, and now we can work on our motor, so which is this is RPM. So RPM is here. So this motor. So we're gonna be getting this RPM motor out and replacing it. And in order to get it out, so the motor locked in here by those two white pins. In order to get it out, so we're gonna have to push those things in like that, and then we can compress those white pins and get this motor out just like that. Okay, that's how we got this motor out. Now I have brand new motors, so we're gonna compare to the one that I took it off, make sure it's the same, and it is. Okay, so now I'm gonna install this new motor, and I'm gonna show you how to do that. So this is the place where we install in the motor. So we're gonna line up the pins. Just like that. And actually it's very easy, so we're gonna press it in those holes when we lined up. Okay, so now the motor's in, and I just wanted to show you. So as you guys can see on this one, this motor, so there is white pieces on the center. That's actually what's holding this motor from coming out, and the ones that I just installed does not have. So I'm gonna show you what you guys need to do in order to finish installing this motor. So after the motor is in place, I'm gonna flip it, and the last thing what we need to do, we're gonna have to, with a small pin, we're gonna have to press it down to push those pieces, white pieces in, to lock it this motor. Okay, so I did this one and I did this one. So now when I'm gonna flip it back, we already see that those white pieces are in, and it's gonna hold this motor from coming out. To install it back, we're gonna get this unit. I'm gonna flip this PSB board. Okay, just like that. And then we're gonna start locking everything. Make sure the screen is locked in, which is it is. Okay, so yes, we finished. And now we're gonna flip this thing back and start installing. Oh yeah, so we gotta finish the cable. So in order to install the cable back, so we press it underneath this black piece, black tab, and by applying a little bit of pressure towards this connector on the cable, we're gonna press it in this black piece in to lock it this cable. Okay, so the cable is locked in, and now we're gonna start installing the needles. When you guys installing the needles, you need to just press it in a little bit and then feel it. Make sure the motor is in the start position, which is, I know this one is. So I'm gonna set this needle right on this white line, and I'm gonna press it in this needle. All right. So now I know my needle's installed. Same I'm gonna do is this speedometer needle. So you guys have an idea how to install those needles. So basically push it a little bit and then move it to the start point, which is those white lines, lined up with those white lines, and then press it in to the point where it stops, and then do the rest the same with the rest of those needles. After needles installed, we're gonna go back to the truck, connect this instrument cluster, and test it out, make sure it works before we put everything back together. Just plugged it in the connector to the instrument cluster, and now I'm gonna turn the ignition key on and test it out the needles. Okay, we can see already that the secondary needle working, and the RPM needle working too. I'm gonna start the truck and see how it's gonna work. Okay, yep, after installing the new motor on a RPM, we can see the needle working, and all the needles working, including the air gauge. Okay, just assembling everything back together. So we got the PCB board back into the housing, and the last thing what we need to do is just close this cover, back cover, which is very easy to do. Just set it, press it, and it will lock in. And the last thing is screw everything back together, and we're done. And then go back to the truck, install back into the truck. All right, I'm back to the truck, and we're gonna test it, make sure everything working. So I'm gonna turn the ignition key on. Yeah, we can see air needle is working. RPM needle should be working. I'm gonna start the truck again.